Damn it. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in. There's the buttons. So what I'm going to do is release the other one first, and that's just a matter of grabbing it and peeling it back. Now sometimes the black adhesive stays on. You got to try and get it off. The black adhesive is what adheres the buttons. And I'm going to use a pair of my tweezers here I stole from my wife. Well, borrowed. Okay. And then I'm going to come over here. Now I have it enough to where I can grab it with my finger and slowly peel it back. Okay, now the buttons are released. So I can let that fall back. Now this one's still grabbing. Let's use the tweezers again. Okay, now I'm going to slowly and carefully turn the soft button. And bring it down ever so gently and push it back. Now it's not perfect. I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the buttons. Okay, now this is still attached by the double-sided tape, so I'm going to lift it up like so, and I'm going to lift it towards me and slowly peel it. Now you can see the double-sided tape coming apart, and we don't want that because we want these corners. Unless you purchase the glass with the tape, which is hard enough to find, and they really charge a premium for this double-sided tape. We really don't need to buy new tape unless, now get ahead, I'm going to push that back down on the corner, and I'm going to pull away. Make sure I get this right. Okay. What I was saying was, we want to reuse this portion of the tape. We're going to remove the sides. We're going to get rid of those sides. We don't need them. And the reason we don't want them or need them is because we're going to build a border of two-sided, double-sided tape. Because people always ask, I don't know why, because I think I've mentioned it so many times. How do you stop the dust from getting in? And the only way I've found without the Loca is to build a border. Got to build a border all the way around, a rectangular border. Alright, that's just to stop somebody from getting cut, hopefully. It'll go in recycling anyway. Alright, that's done. Now, the fun part. Sort of a pain in the neck. Use your finger. Good old finger. And we're going to... I'm just dumping this to my left here. There's a garbage barrel I keep. Now, you ask why? Well, why don't you keep, it looks like that black tape on the sides is perfectly fine. Why don't you keep it? Well, the reason is simple. When you're using the alcohol, you're inevitably going to get an alcohol to clean this. You're inevitably going to get some on that double-sided tape. And what does alcohol remove? It removes the adhesive. So you're essentially going to make that black double-sided tape ineffective. And so you want to remove it, but you don't want to remove this. You don't want to remove down here. The other reason why is this Loca left over tends to get attached to it, and when you're cleaning it, you also tend to pull it back on the screen, and after you get it buffed nice and easy, you get a little one there, and it contaminates the screen again. Now, I want you to pay attention here, that little bit of white. That little bit of white is a piece of glass, and that tiny fragment will in fact stop the glass from sitting down. Now, trust me, the tiniest of fragments will, and it's happened to me before. When I get a phone that's really shattered, and by the way, I'm using a dental pick now. When I get a phone that's shattered, especially here at the top, I literally just remove this black tape, and those are the ones you want to buy new, black double-sided adhesive. This one is just a tiny small fragment. It's removed. And another reason why I'm working with a magnifying lens is because I can look up and see if there's any more tiny shards, and I see one right there. I got my camera sitting on it, so it's a bit hard to see. And yes, I've gotten a couple pieces of glass, not the tweezers and a needle. And take out. So that, I do see white still. I'm trying to see this. Actually, I had to pull it out of the view. I'm scraping this here. There we go. Okay. All right. Now we're just going to take some isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to use just a cloth here, cotton cloth to begin, to take off the heavy stuff. And strike that. Let me back up a little bit. I'm going to use this dental pick. People have asked, how do you do it? I get right up in the corner here, and I pick under the double-sided tape, and I just break it away. And then what I do is I lift it, I grab it, and I pull it. And I get down to here, right into that corner, and I come over with my big dinosaur scissors here, and I cut it. And this goes in the garbage. Same thing on the other side. Very simple, just watch. You get right at the corner, I get underneath that double-sided tape with my pick, right, and break it. Then I get back under it, I lift it up a little bit so I can grab it, and I pull it back. That piece of glass that came up with it down there, see that? Okay, and I get down in the corner, and I clip it, and this goes right in the garbage. Okay, so now that we've removed the double-sided tape, we can begin to clean. Again, I have my cotton cloth here, and we're just going to simply clean. Now, I want to get the edges pretty good because there is still some loca, and you can see it coming up there. Hopefully you can see it. The loca tends to attach to your cloths, and when you go to clean again, you'll smear it. So that's why I'm going to use a couple of different cloths in this process. So I pay careful attention to the edges here, and I want to really make sure I clean them out good. Obviously, you can see down here is where the Digitizer ribbon cable, and underneath that is the AMOLED attachment. There's a little bit more loca here. Right on top of this Digitizer ribbon cable, there's a plastic cover to protect it. There's also one here. I try not to remove those because they do act to keep the glass up. I found that if you remove them, the glass can sit too low sometimes and make contact with the screen. And then, of course, you're going to have problems. with the screen freezing. So all the way around. Okay, it's pretty good, doesn't it? A little bit of smudges here and there. And I'm going to wet another part of the cloth, a different part of the cloth that's clean. And I hold it this way with my finger, nice and strong. And I put it on too wet. This I put on probably a little too much. Now be careful not to touch too much at the top here, because we're going to reuse that black tape. It came off nice and clean, and we don't want to get the alcohol on it, because then we're going to weaken its adhesive properties. Okay, now I'm going to come on another dry piece of the cloth here on my finger and just wipe it down. Nice and easy. I tend to wipe out to the edges if I can. Sometimes I'll grab with my hand and I'll pull away just to make sure that if there is any loca, we get it off. See, there's a little piece that just smudged. It's in the cloth, and you can see how it smudges, so we'll get another dry piece, and that's what you get. And you got to kind of go back to a little alcohol, because once it smudges, it gets on there. Okay. Still a little loca down here, so I want to roll it out. There you go. There's still a little bit here. You can see it. There it is. Smudge, so let's get some nice alcohol. Being careful. Try not to wet this area too much, because you do have a connection, ribbon cable, across the entire bottom. And there's some loca right there. Always good just to take your finger and kind of roll it off. There you go. Okay, now I'll put the cotton cloth aside, and I'm going to come in with a LCD chamois cloth, and I'll just start cleaning it up. And what I like to do with these is I like to make them into a tight folded, and I just, alright, so okay, so I'm almost clean at the top here. I'm going to go a little bit. Always the corners that are a little bit tough. So we're just cleaning along here. Okay, so notice how I'm wiping out, because sometimes when you get that little piece, and I'm always doing this to make sure I take the loca off the cloth, because it does get there and then you wind up smudging it. So this is pretty good preliminary, clean job. Alright, make sure the corners are clean. Now I want you to pay attention. You see this goldish color outline all the way around. And then if you look carefully enough, you'll see a darker black before it almost goes to a blue black. That darker black doesn't show under the glass. Okay, it's kind of like the border that stays under the glass, so you don't see it. So this provides actually a great border for us to put in our double-sided tape. So then we'll get out the double-sided tape here. This good old-fashioned 3M. Now this is how I build the border to seal it, give it the highest strength that we can without the loca. Now, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the buttons. Take a piece about yo big. Now I do this with the buttons, as it just makes it so much easier when applying the glass. Two pieces, about 1 centimeter each, if that. I'm going to take the button and I'm going to put it on the back of the button, like so. Now, the only side effect of this is the buttons are slightly, barely less bright when you do it this way than when you adhere them directly to the glass. But I can tell you putting them on the glass is much more difficult and opens up a greater deal of error of getting your glass down without any dust coming in or smudges occurring. So I'm just using my dental pick to pick off the back side of the tape. And now, if you look close enough, you'll see there's a perfect cutout for the buttons. Here and here. So what I do is I bend the buttons back as they would if the glass was on, and I just push them down into those cutouts. So now they're out of the way. You can see this double-sided black adhesive kind of got screwed up, but you know what? The white is still there. It's fine. It's not going to affect the optics. This one, the tape pretty much got removed. It doesn't matter. We're going to remove this black tape. Okay. Because we don't need to stick them to the glass. But again, there might be a slight difference in brightness of the buttons, but it is barely, and I mean barely, barely visible. I've compared them side by side. So now the buttons are nice and matted down using that double-sided, small piece of double-sided tape. You can see a little bit of dust there. Okay. We're going to do a final clean. So we're not really concerned too much right now. Right now we want to build the border. So right where I removed the side, I'm going to push in this one here. Right there. I'm going to get it right into the corner. And I'm going to work my way all the way down to where I removed it from the bottom corner. Okay. Scissors. Snip on an angle. Turn the phone around. Start at the bottom this time. Doesn't matter, you just want to do your sides first. I'll show you why. Now notice you can still see that black border. So we're well out of the optic range for this double-sided tape to be seen once you put the new glass down. Okay. This is the part, not so much up here at the top, and let me zoom out if I can. This is the part here where dust can really get in, because the button is big, there's a large gap, and you can see it's all open territory. Up here at the top, you're sealed around with the black double-sided tape. There is an area possibility over here where it could get in, where the sensor is. We're not going to worry about that too much. I'll show you what we're going to do up here. But again, staying out of the optic view, we're going to put this double-sided tape over the gold area. Come across. And now we're on top of those plastic protective covers, the ribbon cables I talked about. And notice how I overlapped it on both sides. So I'm going to come in with my dinosaur scissors here, certainly not precision scissors. And there you go. Now I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do the top. Now the top here, I have gotten, put it down too low, laid the glass on, and was able to see the double-sided tape. So what I found works is to actually go high enough to where, oh, that's a little too high, high enough to where we're actually a little bit into the front camera's bottom part of the circle, and just about at the bottom, very edge of the bottom of the LED indicator. I would like to have overlapped that one a bit more, but again, it's not so critical at the top, because there's always a very, very good seal at the top. I'm just going to put my double-sided tape away now. Bear with me. Okay, so we know we don't want to see it. Also, before you put your glass on, make sure this is cleaned out really well, and the proximity sensor and whatever else that is there. So what we'll do first is, before we go ahead and remove the double-sided tape, we're going to do our final clean here. It's pretty clean right now. I may lift the phone out of view for a minute so I can absolutely verify we have no streaks. And you can see my motion is, I always try to go out. I'll pick the phone up, I'll look at the light from different angles to make sure there's no smudges whatsoever. Let it blow on it. I'm not in a clean room, unfortunately. There's a little speck right here, and that just actually, believe it or not, might be a scratch. Tiny little speck. I'm going to come in with my final polishing cloth, which is a black, one of a slightly different material. It's my finish cloth, and it does a really, really good job. So having this border again is not fail-safe, but I haven't gotten any dust in any of the phones I've done since I started doing this. And I tried compressed air to remove the dust, and it just doesn't work well. I don't know exactly what they use, if it's CO2 or whatever, but it freezes and it contaminates the screen. So I just use the mouth, being careful to dry the mouth as much as possible. And that looks pretty darn good. So we're going to use the dental pick again, and I'm going to just get under. There you go. And I'm going to remove it. Same thing over here. I'm going to get under, lift up, and remove it. Now I'm going to press down on the overlap sections. Up. And remove. And at the bottom, again, press down and make sure we have a seal. And remove. So now we get contamination in the screen, we're in trouble. I'm just going to use the dental pick to push it back a little bit to make sure it's not in the view of that camera. And so that looks great now. Don't have to worry about the LED. It's not going to give us a problem. We're going to push down here. This is all still nice and very tacky. Exactly what we're looking for. All right. And now we're ready for the new glass, which I didn't take out ahead of time, so just bear with me. There we go. Straight from China. Be nice if they sold the double-sided tape. Some dealers do, but most of them are charging $6 or $7 just for the double-sided tape. And for some of you, that actually might be a great idea, especially again if you have a lot of glass fragments, and then you don't have to necessarily go through all this. I would still build the border though. Even so, this is critical to stop dust from coming in, especially from down below. I repaired someone's phone not too long ago, and you had to see the junk in here. It was like he was eating popcorn and candy and forcing it in the hole. Alright, so trying to keep my fingerprints off of this. Sometimes I get this glass from China and there is some fingerprints even so, and on this one there are some fingerprints, so I'm actually going to use I'm going to pause here. I'm going to clean this out, and all depends who you get it from. Apparently this guy, real easy because you don't want to scratch it. Now I will tell you, on this side of the glass, this side is I believe the Gorilla part, supposedly the non-scratchable, which is baloney, but this side is more of a plastic. It's strange. I don't know how to explain it, but this is so, you could scratch this so easy compared to this side. It's almost a laminate, and that's designed to bond to the Loca. So I just go ever so slightly. You don't want to rub this. It will scratch. You will get micro scratches. That looks good now. I was going to pause and just ever so lightly go over it, ever so lightly. And now I have to look on angle, and still some there. I don't mean to bore you. I've never done a YouTube video before, believe it or not. This is my first. Hopefully it won't be too boring. It'll help a bunch of you guys out there. Of course, you could still send the phone to me if you don't want to attempt it. Be more than happy to take care of it for you. There's always a risk. I haven't been a perfect, but I've been close. So just so gently, straight motions, not circular. Now here we can go as circular as we want. I'm going to pause and come back once I have this glass fixed. Okay, glass is as clean as it's going to get. Now what I just do is come in here and real gently blow on it. Make sure I get all the dust out. And come in one more time with my black cloth and ever so gently just run it across. Be careful not to touch the double-sided tape, but pushing any dust to it that will of course adhere to it. Looks good. Then we're going to come in very carefully. This double-sided tape is giving me some problems down here. Okay. Now, press in. And drop. And there you have it. Now, I'm just pressing gently. I'm going to heat it, but I come down initially and I run my fingers on the border. Button's working. Same thing all the way up, all the way around. And you can see there's no contamination at all. Just my fingerprints on the outside right now. You can't even tell. Now I'll come in and heat it just to make sure we bond. No need to heat towards the center of the glass, just the edges. Yes, I do burn my fingers a little bit. That's pretty hot. And I'll use the cloth to press it down. Won't burn my fingers. This corner looked like it was up, but it's not. It's perfect. Now, unfortunately, even using the plastic razor blade, you can nick the midframe. It's very, very fragile. And so I just want you to see, if I could, like right here. Let's see if I can get the phone to autofocus. Yeah, right there, just ever so slight. It's tiny. It's certainly magnified. This is certainly where the phone hit initially too, as well. So, and you might hear my daughter screaming in the background. Okay, and that's it. Video completed. I'm going to put the battery in. Make sure it boots up. Doesn't come on, we know we damaged it. And there we go. Alright, folks. Hope this helped you. And I'm going to do another video of a much more damaged phone. Thanks. Hope it helped.